everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're back for One Piece, episode 2 of the live action. And this week, joining me, was not able to come last week because of scheduling, but this week, I have off in the sidelines, my brother.
Yo.
He does exist. He is here. He, unlike me, just wishes to not be on camera physically, and that's okay. So he's off in the sidelines over here. And is going to watch the episode with me, and we're going to talk about it. Last week, what I did was that we watched the episode, and then we talked about just the episode itself, and then I did have at the very end, like, a spoiler corner. So if for some reason I wanted to talk about just the episode, because there are some patrons that are just watching for the first time. They have no clue about anything with One Piece. So we just talk about the episodes, and it's hard not to talk in the reaction, being like, oh, there's this thing and this thing. So what I do is at the very end, we have a spoiler corner. I'll put like a tag up here, and then we can talk about spoilers with the rest of the series. That way we don't spoil any of the innocent summer children that are watching this for the first time. It's been around for nearly 30 years, but you know, we were talking about this today and yesterday, that they have approved, we think they have the scripts for season 2 already lined out, which is crazy. And I love that. I love that. Obviously, if they've been working on this for 7 years, they probably made more than 8 scripts. They're like, we'll start out with 8 episodes, see what the reception is, and then we'll go into season 2 if it's successful. And I'm glad that it's been successful. I'm hoping that we get, like, within a year or 18 months is what they're projecting, getting a season 2. That would be exciting. I mean, how many seasons do you think they could do with this? Like 20? How many arcs are there?
Let's see, there's the East Blue arc.
We don't want it to be spoilery, but there is East Blue, which is essentially this one. My brother is counting up how many arcs there are. If they did like an arc a season, they would have plenty. They have to have at least 8 or 9 seasons at least. At least. I mean, you could have like a whole bunch of episodes for some of the arcs I'm thinking of.
I'm trying to remember which ones were main and which ones were filler.
Oh, well, we want to get rid of the filler ones. That's the problem. But there's probably like at least, 10 arcs?
At least 10.
Yeah, so I mean, they could go on for a long time with this series if they wanted to. I would hope they not do the filler, right? And then we were talking about Jamie Lee Curtis, because she is a pretty prolific actress, especially in American films, and she apparently is a huge One Piece fan. I didn't know this until the Discord told me. She's done interviews holding a Chopper doll, which if you don't know Chopper, he's a character on the series. But there were talks that she could possibly be in season 2, which would be amazing. They're already spending like $17 million an episode on this series. Why not add another $1 million and pay Jamie Lee Curtis to be like a high-profile celebrity actor? I'm okay with high-profile celebrity actors if they are fans of the show and appreciate the medium. I like this series because they're all relatively unknown actors, and so it gives it more personality. You're not just being like, oh, look, it's Brendan Fraser being a character actor, right? So our dogs are at our feet here. Hopefully they're not going to be annoying. They're very excited. My brother's here, but I am excited too. The last episode, I had a lot of fun. I did a lot of fangirling. It was a good time. So we're going to geek out together about One Piece because we both really, really enjoy the show. We're going to tell Huckleberry to go lay down. She sits there, and then Ruby's already down. So with that being said, thank you all so much for joining us. We're really excited to watch episode 2. Hopefully it can work out that my brother can watch with me for a lot of the rest of the series. So, but neither of us, you've seen the first episode, right?
Yeah, and then I stopped.
Yes.
I didn't want it to be like Arcane, where I knew everything was gonna happen.
Yeah, my brother joined me for the Arcane reactions, but he had already watched the entire series. And so he was just sitting here watching me watch it. And so now we both only watched the first episode. So we can go in this together and be like, ah! And I'm excited about that. So with that being said, we're not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive into episode 2 of One Piece, the live action. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. And let's do this, y'all. All right, take this off. Well, that was a very concise episode. So we're going to do spoilers at the very end. We'll just talk about this episode. We looked up right before starting this. Jeff Ward is the guy that plays Buggy. He was fabulous. I don't know what you thought about him as Buggy.
I feel like when you have the anime Buggy, it fits with him being like a total buffoon.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have this live action where you got characters that are just a little higher on IQ, it fits perfectly as he said, the genius jester.
Yeah, I think in the anime, there was a lot of moments from this episode that I remember from the anime were very cartoony and very cartoonish and played for laughs. And I think early One Piece is kind of like that. Like Garp showing up with the dog hat on, it plays into the idea of it being cartoony and just for fun. But then when you're doing a live action that is knowledgeable of the manga and where the manga's at right now, which was interesting, then it is a little bit more serious. I thought Jeff Ward did an amazing job. I thought he was just kooky enough. He was silly, but he was you could feel there was like an emotional core there, right?
Yeah, and when I first saw Buggy's powers in the anime, I was like, that's got to be like one of the best devil fruits, because you could just take yourself apart so much and then put yourself back together. You could probably do it down to like molecules and go right through like doors and stuff.
Yeah.
And he shows it by actually pulling out a circle piece where Luffy punched him to like soften the blow.
Yeah, and it kind of fits with the theme of he has a lot of insecurities as a character, like especially towards Shanks, which we'll talk about. But I like the idea that his power is reflective. Like Luffy, he's rubber. Nothing bothers him. He has a dream and everything else repels off of him. He's not bothered by anybody's like attacks or verbal assaults or anything. But Buggy, the idea of putting himself back together, it kind of reflects on the fact that he is kind of insecure about himself. And he's like, well, nothing, sticks and stones can't break my bones. But then, the word nose gets him. I forgot that was his actual nose.
Yeah.
In the series, his nose looks like a clown nose, and that's why he kind of does the makeup and everything about it, and he's insecure about that.
Anytime anybody ever points out the nose, he...
They condensed a lot of that arc with Buggy in this episode.
I remember the episode being like 3 episodes.
Yeah, and it was a lot. It wasn't just like, I remember Zoro, they were in the crates. I remember Zoro in the anime manga, he like picked a fight with Buggy, and that's when you find out about his powers. And he got stabbed in the anime, right?
Yeah, Buggy, he slices Buggy, he thinks he's dead. Buggy gets up, and one of the hands he cut off does what he did to Luffy here, but instead of like a gas ball, it's a dagger right in his side.
Yeah, and I think that's the one case where the anime logic kind of like, characters in anime get stabbed and they bleed out, and it's like, well, it's an anime, they're going to be fine. They'll just sew that right up, and it's not realistic. But in this... Yeah, if they got stabbed, Zoro would probably be in a lot of trouble.
In anime, you got like 90 gallons of blood in you to spill.
There's like 90 pints. Here we're a little bit more realistic, and it makes sense that Buggy wants to find the map. He knows they have the map, so he's not just going to kill him outright. He tortures Luffy, and then has the very... And it's all like a magic show, so it's like the Houdini, the tank that you fill up with salt water. I thought the way they explained the devil fruit was really well done, because it's very simple, concise, they just can't swim, and...
You get a power, but you're also agreeing that you can never swim again.
And the power of salt water is like, just nixes everything. I thought that was really handled really well. So we'll go through this episode. Obviously, we have spoilers that we'll talk about when we get to them. The whole thing with Shanks, the actor for Shanks really grew on me. I was a little worried when they cast him, because I talked about in the last episode, I think a lot of people like Shanks, and so they were expecting like the most handsome man in the world to be Shanks, but this guy, he does a really good job of showing the heart of Shanks.
You have to remember, the handsome looking Shanks didn't come in until like Marineford.
It's like halfway through the story, and then they're like, oh wait, Shanks is... Yeah, if you look at Shanks in the beginning of the series, this guy is pretty much him, right?
He's pretty much him. He's laid back, he's good. He's good looking, but he's not like handsome Squidward.
Yeah, right. No, that doesn't come till later. But yeah, I thought the actor that plays him does a really good job of capturing that sentimentality that it has. We'll talk about when we get to the sea monster and stuff, that they're doing a good job in this of doing like the manga, and there's mystery and there's things they're not explaining, but if you've watched the series, you kind of know. You're like, oh yes, you're talking about this. What do you think about the dynamic with Luffy and Nami in this?
It's kind of how it was in the anime. He trusts her, but she's kind of plotting behind his back.
She's very reserved, and I like that, because at first when he was like, I'm going to be a pirate, I forget that her impression of pirates at the beginning of the series is not good. She was not like pirates at all.
It's a later episode thing, but for right now, she only thinks there's one type of pirate and they're scum.
Yes.
So she's never seen this, hey, I'm just a pirate to go out adventuring and having some fun. I'm not kicking anybody while they're down.
Right, and then Zoro's only engagement with pirates has been as a bounty hunter, so he's only seen one type of pirate too.
Well, he's killed only one type of pirate.
Right, and Luffy's like, I'm a different kind of pirate, and it's like, is that even a thing? I like their dynamic. I think that Nami, her character comes across very much like it does from what I remember. And the same with Zoro. Every time Zoro's on screen on this, I'm like, no, that is exactly Zoro's, like, I'm not going to be bothered by anything.
That is Zoro before he, like, truly in spirit became a Straw Hat pirate.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. They're both kind of curmudgeons, but Luffy's infectious like optimism starts to like kind of seep into their system, right? And like kind of gets them on board with being in the crew. I liked that a lot. Yes. And I like Nami being the navigator and getting all of that set up. It's really good. I think the transition, I don't remember how it happens in the manga and anime. How do they get to Buggy in that? Do they just show up in a town and they're there? I don't remember.
Nami's already there. Zoro and Luffy are traveling by ship. Luffy grabs a bird out of the sky thinking it's lunch.
Oh, yeah.
And it drops him right in the middle of Nami and 3 of Buggy's pirates.
So, in the last episode, Nami originally was not with Zoro and them.
She was at the base, but she never went with them.
Yes, okay.
And Luffy saved Zoro from being executed.
And they don't really meet up with Nami until this part.
Yeah, but in the last episode, it was Luffy and Nami fighting the Marines, and then Zoro comes in and helps them.
Yes, it's been like 20 years since I've read this part and watched it, and I don't rewatch a lot, so I had forgotten. I was remembering some things, but I was like, there's some parts I didn't remember. But it makes sense. I think they did a good job streamlining this. The giant lion would have been fun. The mayor cameos. The man on the unicycle.
I think they blew their CGI monster budget on the giant serpent. I don't think they would have had enough room for a 18 to 20 foot tall lion.
And honestly, it would have been for one scene. And it's like, do we waste the budget on CGI for one lion for one scene? That, you know, in the long run is not, it's just a battle scene.
But Buggy does point it out for us. Where's the dancing lion?
Yes. I like that they include the Easter eggs, and it's not like the show doesn't understand what the source material is. They just know their limitations, and they're like, we're not going to spend 3 episodes talking about Buggy's crew. We're going to do it all in one. We're going to streamline it, and then we're going to move on. And for these earlier arcs, I'm fine with that, because it's really just the opening episodes are setting up the devil fruit, the character development, their dynamics, and the idea that these pirates are all kind of crazy, and that's fine. I'm good with that. So I did not expect Luffy to swallow the map. I don't think that happens in the original one.
No, in the original, when Nami goes to the Marine base and she tries to get the map, she finds instead a piece of paper with Buggy's logo on it, showing that he tricked Morgan.
Yes, okay.
So, which is why she had to go to that town in the first place.
Right, to go back and get it, yeah. So I liked the idea of Luffy swallowing the map. I thought that was clever. I love Buggy's design in this. The idea. I thought the CGI on Buggy was really good. I thought it worked great. I thought it was perfectly fine. I liked his character design. I'm glad they included the man. My brother and I love Nun Piece by Purple Eyes WTF. We've quoted it so many times, and episode 4 of that series is about this. Episode 4 of Nun Piece is about Buggy's crew. It is the funniest damn thing I think I've ever seen. Related to an abridged series. But there's the guy with the lamb wool and stuff over him that's like he's the one on top of the lion, and then the guy on the unicycle. There's so many quotes from that. If you look up Nun Piece, look up episode 4, it's about this, and it's amazing. But the whole time we were with Buggy's crew, all I could think about was that episode and how funny it was. It was really good. So yeah, and then the people in the village, and clearly we know from this that Nami has had a traumatic past, And she is very sympathetic towards the people of towns being wrecked by pirates, which influences her viewpoint on pirates as well. I thought Jeff Ward did a great job as Buggy. He's got some really good moments. The camera loves him. He looked great in every scene he was in. I was enthralled. I was like, yes, please.
Well, that's what Buggy tries to do every time he's on the screen. He tries to entertain. He tries to make himself the big star of the show.
Right, and he doesn't like the fact that Shanks stole the spotlight
He hates
from
it
him.
when people steal the spotlight, which is one of the reasons why in the anime he hates Luffy.
Yes!
Everybody's drawn to Luffy, and he's over here looking like the sad clown at the opera.
Exactly. I could see some people complain that Nami was too easily taken by the guards when she was beating them up in the last episode. But I think that's exactly what happened in the anime, so I don't think it's any different. And she didn't have her weapon on her.
She didn't have her staff.
Yeah, she didn't have her staff.
Which is like Zoro could have just punched those guys, but he's a swordsman.
Yes, so it makes sense they didn't have their weapons on them, so they weren't as easily able to defend themselves. That makes sense. So, let's go back here. So Kobe and Garp. Garp showing up in, I like Helmeppo has where Kobe punched him. I thought that was a nice little touch. And then Garp showing up with the damn dog hat. What I love is that his actor plays it. Yeah, here's the thing. There are some people on Discord, on Patreon, that have never seen One Piece before, and they were like, why does this look kind of cartoonish? And I'm like, well, because it's a really cartoony show, especially at the beginning. The actor playing Garp, like, not only when he's feeding the transponder snail the lettuce, they're like, you're gonna feed this snail phone lettuce, and it's gonna be and play it completely straight. But the fact he can deliver these lines with utmost seriousness while wearing like a cheesy mascot dog hat is a testament to him as an actor. Like, and he treats it so serious. He's like, yes, yep, I am. This is absolutely my character. But it's so funny. I forgot the name of the guy that's with him, Bogard. When we get to spoiler corner, I'm going to ask about him. We won't talk about him right now, but I forgot his name was Bogard. Last episode, I was like, who is this guy with Garp? But I'm glad we got his name, Bogard. I love the torture method of trying to stretch Luffy out and get him to talk, and it doesn't work. And then the fact that Buggy knows that Luffy knows Shanks. We're establishing all of that. That's all good stuff. The stuff with the kids. And the idea that the people in this town get to see Luffy as a good pirate. That he's a good guy. Because that's obviously going to be a big factor, right? And then, yeah, the idea of Garp. We have so much to talk about in the spoiler corner. But the idea of Garp confronting Kobe and saying, you know Luffy and Luffy saved you. Do you have any allegiance to him? And Kobe's like, well, no. I'm going to be a Marine, so... not gonna Luffy's gonna have to answer for his actions, right?
Which unfortunately the only crime he's actually committed so far is robbing one naval base.
Yeah,
in command of a corrupt naval officer.
That's the thing that kind of helps Luffy's case a little bit, is that Luffy was stealing from a corrupt naval officer, so it's, and in comparison to other pirates in the series, it's like Luffy's act of stealing this map is like a drop in the bucket compared to like some of the other ones. I think it's interesting that they included in that box with the map the little wanted poster for Kuro. It's a nice little tag to know that name.
That was Morgan's promotion. That's why he became
captain.
Was the fact that he arrested Kuro of 100 Plans.
And we're gonna get back to that later on, but they're referencing it now so that name sticks with you. So
and it was in Morgan's safe.
Mm-hmm. So that way we as the audience know, okay, we need to remember Kuro. That name's gonna come back up. It's gonna be somewhat important. We need to know it. And then the little kid that plays little kid Luffy. My heart. He was so good. I loved him. I loved him. Shanks' crew beating up all the bad guys. Now, one thing I did like is the idea that they transitioned. They had Kid Luffy with the one guy that was the leader of the pirates, and that's how they met the sea monster. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, in the original manga, Luffy just gets mad that Shanks is leaving, and he takes off in the boat, right? By himself. Isn't that it?
No.
No? Am I wrong?
No, it's just as they show right there. He's at the bar with Makino. The bandits come in.
Right.
They start trash talking Shanks. Luffy tells them to shut up, and when they're about to execute Luffy, Shanks and his crew show up and beat the crap out of him.
And then the one pirate goes off with Luffy.
The bandit. He's a mountain bandit, not a pirate.
Right.
He takes Luffy off in the boat.
Okay.
While they're all distracted.
For some reason, I thought Luffy was by himself, like, trying to go after Shanks. No. Okay. So, yeah, the bandit did take him away.
Yes.
And then the monster shows up.
The monster kills the bandit, is about to eat Luffy, and then Shanks saves him.
Mm-hmm. And I like that we'll talk about in the spoiler corner, I like that it's a little, like, Shanks does something, and then the monster leaves, and it's like, okay. And then he lost. The only complaint I have about this episode... And it's a tiny little complaint. It's the littlest thing. But when Shanks loses his arm in the part where he's sitting there and you see that his hand is gone, the only thing that I was gonna note is that if you look at the camera angle, like his arm is clearly in his shirt, right? It looked that way to me. It looked like his arm was in the shirt. That's the only thing. I'm like, you're spending $17 million in the episode. But he's like got his arm hidden in the shirt and it's the sleeve just flopping. But that's a tiny little nitpick. Tiniest thing, but I did want to laugh at that. I was like, oh, come on now. But I do think the hat scene is done well where he gives the hat back to Luffy. That was done fine. And then the whole thing with the guy on the unicycle, Kabaji, having the beef with Zoro. We were talking about this in the reaction. We never got that specified in the manga.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Saying that. I just remember it saying, like, do you remember me?
Yeah, but we don't know. And, I mean, it makes sense that he had family that were hunted by Zoro, and Zoro killed them, so they had beef against Zoro. That all makes sense. But I was like, I don't remember that being a thing. And then Nami getting out them damn lockpicks. I liked that there's a little bit of similarity between Luffy and Buggy, though, in that they both name their attacks. They have, like, the super, like, the, what is it called? Chop cannon, yes. And the gum pistol. Mm-hmm.
If they ever get to season 2, there's going to be a few more Devil Fruit users. I want them to call out the names. Yes.
We'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, and then I'm trying to remember, in the actual manga and anime, they did put his parts into boxes, didn't they?
Actually, no. He does the split up, and when he tries to do the regroup, he only has that, and he's wondering where his parts are. And Nami has taken and tied all the parts together.
Oh, so that he gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is why you're here, to correct me, because I forgot, like, these earlier arcs.
Well, when I heard this was coming out, I rewatched the first season.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good. You're ahead of me. You rewatched the first season. I was like, it's been like at least 20 years since I've read the manga, and it's been a long time since I've watched clips from. I watched they did the special episode that recapped everything. I watched that a couple years ago, but yeah, I'm glad you rewatched the first season, so you know what's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing. They trapped all the body parts, and he's left with only his hands, feet, and his head.
Mm-hmm. There is a little weird, like, the way they do, it's almost like a Buggy thing at the very end, with like a fishbowl lens. They do something weird when they're leaving the town, but it's not anything crazy. It's just kind of odd. I like they have the old man from the manga in the Windmill Village with Makino there.
That's the mayor.
The mayor, yes. That's really cute. I'm glad they feature just like little details like that. I love, because it shows the show pays attention and it knows. I watched Death Note, the Netflix movie, and that has nothing to do with Death Note, except that he's not even light. He's like called something else. And the girl's called something else. Ryuk's the only literal... Well, you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah.
Ryuk's like the only thing that is Death Note related in that. And here, I love all the little touches where you can clearly see they tried. They paid attention to it.
They know the source material. But they also show that it's something completely unique on its own.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it's the right blend of unique and paying homage.
Mm-hmm. Giving that homage, right?
Homage.
Tomato. So, yeah, I love Shanks giving the hat to Luffy, and Nami fixes the straw hat. And then the little tiny transponder cell phone, like the mini one.
Like the little Bluetooth.
Yes, like the Bluetooth. That's so it's like the tiny little snail. That's so freaking crazy. I'm like, with the little phone receiver, that's really clever. I'm like, what the fudge? That's ridiculous. All right. So we're going to talk spoilers because there's quite a lot of spoilers I want to go through with this. But I thought this episode was fine. It wasn't as fast paced as the last episode, but getting through all of Buggy's content in one episode, I thought it did a good job. And Jeff Ward's was great. I was like, he did Buggy proud. He stole the show throughout the episode. So good for him.
It kind of helps that, well, are we at the spoiler part yet?
Not yet. We're about to be. Yes, we're
about
about to. But if you're not sticking around for spoilers, thank you for watching with my bro and I. We will be back next week to talk about episode 3 of One Piece. But if you're not sticking for the spoiler corner, thank you all for watching and have a great day. Bye. Now we're gonna have a spoiler corner. So what were you about to say?
But the fact I want more the season 2 to happen, because that's when we got the more devil fruit users. Buggy's the only devil fruit user other than Luffy that we meet in the East Blue.
Oh, he is, isn't he?
Yes, until we get to Smoker.
Damn, because Kuro's not a devil fruit user, is he?
No.
No.
What he uses is similar to the 6 powers that come at the Marineford arc.
See, that's
Water
thing.
7 arc, technically. Yeah.
Okay, I feel bad because you're going to scoff at me off screen, but I've read One Piece all the way through. The only 2 arcs when I was in college that I skimmed through and I need to go back are Skypia and Water 7. And everybody's like, those are the most important arcs. And I'm like, I got to Thriller Bark and I was like, okay.
Well, Skypea, that's where we meet Enil, who has the lightning fruit powers.
And I forget about them because I skimmed through it. Yeah.
And he's like the first taste of one of the most dangerous Logias, other than a crocodile. But the only reason he was dangerous is because you were in the middle of a desert.
Right.
Against a man with sand powers.
Yes, in his element, literally. And then Water 7 is...
That's where we meet Frankie.
Yes. I remember meeting Frankie reading the manga, but I don't remember a lot from Water 7.
That's when we get to see this Black Ops form of the Marines.
Yes, yeah,
We get Rob Lucy, who's got the leopard powers.
Yes, yeah. That arc, I'm kind of like, I remember it, kind of, but not really.
And we get the giraffe with the square head.
Yes. People that have no clue what we're talking about would be like, wait, what? One Piece it's so crazy because we're only these episodes are diving into one arc of a dozen and thousands of chapters. It's just what I like about it is the hockey. The hockey where he uses the hockey against the sea monster. Back when we first started this series, I remember reading it and just thought, oh, he scared it away. Hawk's just an intimidating presence.
But then when you think about it, how did a man about 6 foot tall scare a huge ass sea monster that looks like it could pick a fight with Godzilla?
Right, there's the mystery there, but at the time you don't think much about it because you're like, oh, well, they're just pirates, they have strange powers. Shanks just has this cool power, whatever. He just scared the sea monster away, and then you find out it's hockey later on, and the world expands even further. Okay, so as far as spoilers go, if we had season 2, who are you looking forward to seeing?
Honestly, there's 3 characters I'm excited to see if we get a season 2. Smoker, Chopper, and Wapple.
Oh, and which one's Wapple?
He was the king of Drum Island, where Chopper is. He had the Munch powers.
Oh,
that let him eat and combine things with his body.
I forgot about that. Oh, God. Well, when we brought up Jamie Lee Curtis at the start, I was like, she would definitely be perfect to be the mom, the doctor who's the mom of Chopper. She would be Kuria. She'd be perfect to be Kuria if she was going to be that. That would be a great cameo for her to do. We were talking about Chopper the other day, and that's probably going to be the hardest thing for them to do in this series because he's going to have to be...
He's going to have to look adorable in his hybrid form. He's going to have to look kind of like a furry human in his human form, which is the big muscular one. But then you're just going to have a talking reindeer in his reindeer form.
Yeah. If we're doing just Chopper in his hybrid form, it would almost need to be a puppet that has CGI in it. Some kind of mixture. Do puppetry and then add CGI to make the mouth move or whatever. You'd want it to have puppet elements so that it would blend in with the live action. If he's all CGI, it's going to look weird the whole time. You'd have to have a puppet and just add CG elements to it to make it work.
to make it look more breathing, more
yes.
live.
Yeah. But that's going to be hard. I think if they do season 2,
And
most of their budget's going to go to Chopper.
And that's not even including the Rumble Ball forms.
Oh my god, yeah. So there's a whole bunch of stuff there. I feel like they're going to have to simplify it to make it work, kind of like the Gum Gum powers. Like, don't overuse it. Make him be a little hybrid Chopper for the most part. And then if you got a battle, make it do that.
Which I think they won't even get to Alabasta because that was a whole lot of episodes.
Yeah, I mean,
I could see them possibly doing season 2 up till the point where they're like meeting Ace and then they're getting started into Alabasta.
See, I forget. I always think it's like once they meet Usopp and Sanji, they just instantly meet Vivi. I forget there's like a whole thing with Chopper and Ace, like before they even get to that.
Well, they get Sanji, they take care of Arlong, then they go to Loketown, they run into Smoker, they also run into Buggy, and now the Devil Fruit Alaveda.
Oh, yeah, Alvida, when she's in like her...
She's got the slip fruit.
We were talking about that in the Discord. They're like, do we think that they're going to make Alvida skinny, or are they going to keep her...
In the manga, it said that was a side effect of eating the slip fruit. Her body slimmed down.
So I guess they could show that, and that's just the power of the fruit. And then we see Dragon, briefly.
But she's confused, thinking that it only took away her freckles.
Yeah. I forgot about that. But yeah, there's actually quite a lot before you can get to Alabasta. That's so true.
Then there's Whiskey Peaks where we get 2 more Devil Fruit users. The Valentine's Day with the Kilo fruit.
Yeah! Because we have Miss All Sunday and like all of them, right?
And I think it's Mr. 5 with the Bomb fruit.
Yep. Yeah, there's all the days of the week. All of them and Crocodile and everything. Yeah, there's a lot there. It's a lot to do. I want to see how far we get into this before we talk about season 2 too much. But there's just so much that's still left, and this is just tapping into it. So, Bogard. Remind me about Bogard, because I forget about his character.
We didn't learn a lot about him in the beginning. He was just like Garp's right-hand man.
Yes, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
I will admit I have not kept up with most of the chapters now. But through what I've probably seen, I think he's like really, really strong.
Yeah,
You do see him in like those little cartoon panels at the beginning of the chapters. He's the one while Garp is asleep. Is one with like the bamboo sword whacking Kobe and Hilipo.
Okay, and Helmeppo there.
Yeah, he's training them using the bamboo sword. Okay,
so yeah, I knew he was with Garp, but I could never remember if there was anything special about him or if it was just he's with Garp right now. Okay, now by the end of this season, Garp doesn't reveal that he's Luffy's grandpa, does he? We don't. When do we find out that he's Luffy's grandpa?
Here's the thing. We never even knew about Garp until like Water 7.
Really? He wasn't in this opening parts?
No. Only clue we got we didn't even know he was Garp. We always just saw in the little cartoon panels the guy with the dog head helmet. They never showed his face.
Oh!
And as they were taking Morgan away, he actually attacked Garp, and it turns out he only got a cheap shot on Garp because Garp was asleep when he was standing in front of him.
Oh! See, I was like, I knew that figuring out his grandpa was like a big deal in the manga. It was like, oh crap, one of the commanders of the Marines is Luffy's grandpa. But I forget, so it's a long time before we even meet him.
Yeah, we never learned who Garp was until after they saved Robin.
Oh my god, that's a long time from now. So, I mean, just the fact that they're doing that and they're giving us Garp so far ahead of time, that does make me wonder, like, if they're going to condense some things.
It sounds like they're going to try to, like, condense and speed line a few things.
Which, Garp was always there. We just didn't know who he was. He was always in the series. We just thought he was just a Marine and some character. But I don't know if they're going to reveal that Garp is his grandfather. I don't think they're going to show Luffy finding it out, but I'm wondering if we, the audience, will find out that he's his grandfather.
Well, up until now, they've all just been calling him Garp.
Right. Not
the hero of the Marine Garp.
And when Kobe was talking to him, he said Luffy. He didn't say Monkey D. Luffy. So Garp was like, And I mean, anybody that gets mad saying, well, Garp's this Irish guy and Luffy's like a Mexican actor, I'm like, well, we don't know who's playing Dragon, and also we never know who Luffy's mom is, so she very well could be. Luffy could take after his mom. He clearly doesn't look like his dad or his grandpa, so...
Well, we haven't seen Dragon.
Right. We don't know what actor's going to play Dragon yet. So... But yeah, I didn't realize that we don't even get him in the series until later. That's funny. But yeah, and then Kobe and Helmeppo going with him to go after him. And then Shanks. It's so funny now to see Shanks this early on and be like, oh, maybe we'll see each other one day when you're a great pirate. And knowing that like 1,079, 1,092 chapters later, they still haven't met yet. It's like...
Technically, they did at the war arc, but he was unconscious.
Yeah, so we're not going to count that.
And he actually gets Buggy to deliver the hat back.
Right? Okay, and the Buggy and... Did we know at the beginning that Buggy and Shanks were in a crew together?
He says that.
Does he say that in the anime?
Yeah, the first time the second he sees Luffy's hat, he's like, seeing this hat reminds me of that damn redhead.
Okay.
You know Shanks?
Yeah.
We served on the same pirate crew.
That's so crazy because
But they never said it was Gold Rogers.
Right, they don't say it's Rogers' crew till later.
Yeah.
And then it's so funny that the Buggy ends up helping Luffy so much later on. And it's so crazy that all these little tiny little callbacks from the very beginning, Oda set it up and then they come back like 500 chapters later and you're like, what?
And getting Buggy's name wrong for Luffy is just...
Yeah.
It's par for the course.
Buggy got me. I was like, that was perfect. I thought that was hilarious.
It's Buggy.
It's Buggy. No. But yeah, I am curious what all they're going to streamline if they do that with Garp. But I think they mainly did it for Garp because he's such an iconic figure and like we know him. So how could you not, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, and then okay, all the stuff with Nami leading to Arlong, like I for a hot second forgot she was working undercover for Arlong.
The transponder stale though is new.
The little mini one, right?
Yeah.
We find out through the anime and manga that she is working for somebody with little things that she does, but it's not, since they have to streamline it for the series, they're just making it like she's working for Arlong.
And we get the biggest hit when they meet Zoro's two friends.
Oh yeah, do you think we're gonna get that? Do you think we're really gonna get that little moment?
They do kind of play a big part. They're the ones that hold the villagers off at Arlong Park.
Okay, yeah. I talked about this in the last episode that I don't think we're not gonna make it to Logtown again. We're gonna save Smoker and Tashigi and all them for season 2.
Which kind of makes sense because Smoker's the real first Logia we meet.
Yes, and he's like the first main antagonist that gives Luffy a hard time.
Yeah, because Luffy can't punch smoke.
And he has the Sea Stone like staff too that gets him as well. And that's when Dragon shows up, which that would be a great season 2 opener, would be Logtown and having Tashigi show up and give Zoro a hard time, and then have Smoker there and have Dragon show up. Like, that'd be a great opening episode for season 2. That'd be awesome. I'd love that. But yeah, that was, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was kind of spoilery in this that stuck out to you.
Oh, the dog.
The dog, yeah, the dog being like just walking by there at the end. Again, just a nice little touch to show that everybody's thinking about the source material itself.
In the original, the town people were in hiding.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't captured.
I did like the setup of the circus tent and showing Buggy's crew and making the townspeople watch the show, and it ties in with Buggy wanting to be the star. Like, I did like that touch, that he's kind of a villainous character. I thought that made sense. And then Luffy saving them all at the end with this big gesture of freeing them, because they were like, oh, are you going to control us now? And he's like, no, I'm just letting you go. That was cute. Liked that a lot. So we're gonna watch episode 3 soon, but what do you think we're gonna touch base next week?
Based on where we're going, I believe next week should be Kuro.
Oh, I can't believe we're already at Kuro. Lamb man, damn lamb man.
What am I gonna talk to him about? Hey, how much you sell your wool on the market for? Nothing, because my dad didn't fuck a sheep.
You should watch One Piece. It's great. I do like the fact that we got Yasop with the bandana and the crew that Usopp's dad's with Shanks.
And he like shows off shooting skills by ricocheting
a
flintlock pistol off the pole into the guy's head.
Yes. Yes. I'm really excited because oh God, are we gonna get the hypnotist to Django? Yeah, Django in this. I'm really excited.
I don't know. We missed the buggy ball.
Oh yeah.
But it kind of did show up. It was what he was holding
when he crushed it, the buggy ball. Yeah. I mean, you've got 50 minutes essentially to tell 3 episodes worth of story, and I thought they concisely did it. I'm sure that buggy enthusiasts will find things they wish they did, but I thought for Jeff Ward's performance, I thought they should be happy.
And I thought they showed the devil fruit perfectly.
Yes, I think
able to take yourself apart like that is.
I think if you like Buggy, then it was a good sign. I think you should be happy. So yeah. Well, that's our discussion for episode 2. Pretty concise, succinct, giving us little bitty tiny tidbits of spoilery things, but also showing, like, condensing that whole Buggy arc down from 3 episodes into 1. So I'm really excited for next week's episode. Should be a lot of fun. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we'll be back next week to talk about One Piece episode 3. Bye!